Hi, I'm Becca Otis from Five Lines Pottery in Indianapolis, Indiana.
And I'm Ryan Durbin from RD Ceramics, located in Southgate, Kentucky.
And welcome to Wheel Talk.
Hey guys, we've loved answering all of your questions so far. If you'd like to hear your question on the podcast, please send them to us on Instagram at Wheel Talk Podcast or by email to wheeltalkpodcast@gmail.com. Thanks.
Hola.
Hello.
Hello. Hi, Ryan.
Hi, Becca.
How are you?
It's been a while since we've recorded together.
It has been a while. You went on a fun little outing last week.
Yes, I did, and we sold together. We hadn't talked about that.
Oh, yes, we did. We did sell together.
Yeah, so this week I've just been getting back in the swing after my trip to Goshen, Indiana. We should probably talk about the coffee show first, though.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe.
Mm-hmm. If anybody was surprised, Ryan definitely beat me out on the spoon rest situation. However, I convinced him to up the price to $18, even though it should have been $20 and nobody would have even cared.
Hey, I'm pricing them at $18 the rest of the year, so hey. I'm like slowly but surely. I'm not like a hey, let's go crazy
sure,
here.
Whatever. Ryan,
you didn't have as many spoon it wasn't a fair.
It wasn't fair.
A fair fight,
and
honestly. I mean, your spoon rests were down below.
Yes.
Out of sight.
It's not my focus, and that's totally fair that it's not my focus.
Yeah. I sold 36 still.
Yeah. I don't know how many I sold.
36 at $18, so pretty good.
What was that, the 22nd and the
22nd, 23rd?
That's what the dates were. Okay.
Sold $648 in spoon rests.
I sold
I think you might have sold. Did you sell 10?
I sold $72 in spoon rests.
Which is what, like 6?
Yeah, I think so. Yep. 4. It's 4.
4. 36 to 4.
Yeah. So, Ryan, tell everybody how you did.
In total, are we talking collected? I collected about $4,000 worth.
Yeah, this is something that I was unaware of before. Like, we've been sharing all of these, like, numbers, and Ryan...
I tell people that's what it is.
Ryan does the total collected. I've always done the gross sales. Like, I've always looked at the gross sales. I'm like, oh, yeah, I made this amount. But the total collected is, like, $200 more. So, I sold total collected $3,100.
Yes.
And
which is actually way closer than I expected. We talked about it on the podcast. I feel like I said you'd be good to get like 1,500.
Yeah.
Like that would be good. You probably would have been happy with 1,500 too.
I would have been happy with 1,500. And let's also be clear that I did not sell a single vessel with a handle at this coffee show.
I feel like you're overplaying this vessel handle
I'm not.
thing. Who cares?
Everybody cares. It's a fucking coffee show. Like, what do you drink coffee out of? A mug. I sold wine glasses at a coffee show.
And earrings. You sold more earrings than you probably did.
No,
the other stuff.
I sold more wine glasses than earrings.
Oh, you did? Okay.
I sold wine glasses, earrings, and Ryan sold mugs. But it was great that we had totally different stuff.
Yeah. We didn't really have anything overlapping except for spoon rests, I think.
Yeah, no, we didn't have it. And maybe like shot glasses, kind of. But
yeah.
So
what was your like top 3 for your categories of like
gross sales?
Yeah.
So the thumb cups, which is the wine glasses, was 1,020. I sold 34 of those. And then
thumb cups, nice.
11 medium earrings. I sold 385 of those. And then those mini thumb cups was 252.
What was your earring? Was that all of your earrings together?
No. I had medium earrings, large earrings, and small earrings.
Are those in categories down at the bottom?
No, you're asking for a lot. Categories. I made these up while I was selling.
I'm surprised you split them out that specifically,
Well,
like medium instead of just saying earrings and then typing in a price.
Well, I did it while I was selling. Like I started making the categories while I was selling, so it was like every time I added something in. I sold three big fancy cups and four big fancy cups.
See, I felt like your earrings were they're like second category down. Like in total, your earrings didn't beat $1,000 in the thumb cups probably.
Yeah, I think so.
Right?
Yeah, the earrings, like, it's also, it's like I have a lot of custom amounts because I started out the show without like any of the little tabby tabs. So, but yeah, so I feel
so thumb cups, earrings, and then your third was like the shot glass espresso.
Yeah.
Which is basically most of the categories you have. The only other categories were like fancy cups and spoon rests.
Yeah.
And nesting bowls. That's probably
Yeah. Yeah, okay. And I didn't sell any nesting bowls. I did sell one large bowl, but yeah, and like in reference, I did about $1,400 at the show on Saturday, and which I was pretty proud of myself for. And
this past Saturday?
Yeah, and I sold 2 fancy cups at that one, so I sold $420 in the wine glasses there, and 170.
Probably getting low on fancy cups, huh?
What?
Are you getting low on fancy cups?
Yeah, I had to make 10 more today. I sold 175 plus 120 plus 112. You have a calculator?
Yeah. Okay, go ahead.
175 plus 120 plus 112 plus 28.
435.
Plus 20, 455. So I sold 455 in earrings at the last show and 420 in thumb cups.
You said 24.55, like $24.55?
No.
Or $24.
$420 in thumb cups and $455 in earrings.
Okay.
So it was pretty much half-half.
Nice.
Yeah. So okay.
Yeah, the earrings were a good seller. I mean, they were there was no competition.
Yeah.
And people can browse while they're sipping coffee and testing stuff.
Yeah.
Like, it was great.
I'm really happy with how the earrings have been received. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Like.
And I was asking you at the show, were there differences in selling there versus other shows you've done in Cincinnati in general, or?
Yeah, I feel like Cincinnati is a really good market, and you should feel very lucky. That's
that. I'm hoping you get some good sales, because we're gonna be selling at the same shows here in the next few weeks.
Yeah.
We got 2 other shows that we're doing together.
Yeah.
Technically, maybe a third, and they're all in Cincinnati. So I'm curious to see how those sales go for you as well.
Yeah, I think that it's definitely worth the drive down to do the shows that make the money. And I mean, like, this weekend I made $1,400 in a day, which is totally fine with me. And that was at like a Halloween thing that had like 60,000 people at it. And
holy crap.
I mean, like, I didn't have that kind of traffic where I was, but that's how many people they predicted showed up. Like, it was so packed that no vendors' cell phones worked with Square. Like, it just, like, all offline.
Yeah.
So.
It was kind of like that at the Madison show. Like, that's kind of a smaller town, and there's a lot of vendors there.
Yeah.
So it was a little clogged.
Yeah.
It was a little slower with the processing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to compete. You're just sheer numbers of people that are able to see your stuff, and then how many people can you convert to buy.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. So how did you do via like mugs wise at the
coffee show.
Yeah.
I was just looking at that. Mugs, I broke 1,000.
Okay.
And that was on 32 mugs.
Okay.
Actually, in total, I didn't include the card mugs there. Total mugs, 1,400 actually.
Okay.
A little over 1,400 because it includes carved mugs.
Yeah.
Second category behind that was oil bottles.
Yeah, oil bottles. Like, I'm so impressed at how many people fucking buy oil bottles.
I think it's like a second item that is not like a mug, because people are like, I don't have any room for mugs anymore or whatever. So it's just an alternative option. That was almost $900 I sold in oil bottles.
And I think your oil bottles are extremely affordable.
Yeah, they start at 34, and then they go up to 55 for the carved ones. And there were some carved ones that were flying.
I wouldn't think twice personally as a buyer. Now that I'm like in,
I sold way more money in carved ones. $500 of carved ones and $375 of non-carved ones.
I feel like as a buyer now of somebody who's bought pottery, I wouldn't think twice about buying a $50 oil bottle, regardless of it being carved or not.
Yeah. So 9 carved ones, 11 non-carved ones.
Yeah.
Pretty good. And then the third category was spoon rests.
Yeah, fucking spoon rests.
$650 in spoon rests.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Fucking spoon rests.
The soup bowls were close to that, $640 in soup bowls.
Oh my god, the amount of people who picked up your fucking soup bowls when we were like
16 soup bowls.
They were like, "This is my size coffee mug." And I'm like, shut up. That is the 15th time we've seen that today.
They're like, now that's a mug.
Now that's a mug.
You could do some good latte art in that.
Wow. Jenny, look at how big this mug is. I feel like I got most of those because it was on the corner and like most of the traffic was on my side. So it was all them like yelling at their friends down the aisle.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
And the selling together was fun too. I was worried it was going to be too much like conversating, but it was good because our tables faced opposite ways. We were able to kind of talk to people separately. And then if there was some cross-pollination, it was fine. It was like, oh, well, if you want that, you can ring it up with her, or we would like wrap it for each other. And
for anybody wondering, we did an outward L.
Yes, we did.
Yeah,
outward L. Good option.
I had the short end, so mine was. You had an 8-foot table, and I had a 6-foot table, and then we had my big shelf in the middle, and kind of like went out into the aisleway a little bit. So.
Yeah, it
looked great.
The meeting of the two tables.
Yeah, it looked really good.
Yeah, it was a great setup.
Yeah. I know it was a lot of fun. Yeah.
Yeah. So, good sales day.
Yeah.
We got some more coming up. We'll see how those go.
Yeah.
And do you want to do that again next year?
Yeah,
They sent us a save the date.
Yeah, why not?
Or they gave us the save the date thing. So.
Oh, they did?
What? Well, yeah. At check-in, they gave us a save the date for the next year, which is basically the same weekend as it was. So.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah, it was good. I like it to just get some mugs out the door, and it's nice to not have to showcase every single form I make.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
I really love.
Setup was easy.
I really love now that I've kind of like started focusing on the earrings. I really enjoy the fact that all I have is wine glasses, fancy cups, spoon rests, and that's it. You know?
Yeah.
It's like. It's it's like so nice just to have those things to make, and that's it, you know. And eventually, I think that I'll probably even take the spoon rest out. I'm not even gonna lie.
Yeah, I'm wondering what a world would be without making the shot glasses, for instance. Because I had a really small container of shot glasses, and I didn't really mind it.
Yeah, yeah, the small
So
container.
it might be like an Etsy only thing,
Yeah,
and then I make them for wholesale
yeah,
orders or some consignment shops. But I'm not actively taking them to a lot of shows because it's for one, it's hard to keep up with the inventory.
yeah,
Like for the online, I need to make sure that those are up to date, so I'm not selling things that I don't have colors of, and narrowing down the colors. And then most of the wholesale orders are pretty flexible with what colors I give them with
yeah.
the shot glasses, so that makes it nice.
I'll tell you what, I have not even missed the pinch pots. Not even fucking missed them. Bye-bye.
I mean, how many
Bye.
have you thrown over the years?
Thousands, tens of thousands. I can't even.
How much hand strain do you think you've worn down
I don't know.
from the pinch pots? Like, they are a lot of, like, I can see my thumb and stuff from the shot glasses that it can tire them.
So much work.
Yeah.
So much work. Happy about those being gone.
Yeah, we'll see what next year looks like for that.
Promptly after our show that I made $3,000 at, I purchased a little baby test kiln, and it came.
How big is the inside of that kiln?
It's 8
Or how
by
big is
8
the whole
by
kiln?
4.
8 by 8 by 4. Okay.
So I should be able to fit 4 wine glasses in there if I need to.
Okay. The fancy cup size?
Either.
Or like tumblers or whatever.
And then I can just throw a bunch of jewelry in the insides of those wine glasses. But yeah, so it's great, fantastic. Fires to cone 10 if need be.
Have you fired it to cone 10? How quickly does that turn around?
I've not fired it to cone 10 because I don't fire to cone 10.
How quickly is the firing to cone 6?
Oh, cone 6. Well, you can do a slow, medium, or fast. So, as we know, I'm a medium firer. So, I did it on medium, and it took 8 hours. And, but I always do a hold at the beginning.
Right.
Like, I did a hold at the beginning this time because I'm firing these 2 little baskets that I made as little pseudo shelves for the inside.
Yeah.
And so I have to make sure they don't explode. But I think that it's like takes a medium amount of time to fire. I did a slow bisque with a 2-hour hold yesterday, and it took 12 hours. And but it was cool this morning when I got there. That's the thing. It cools
the cool down
like
is
so
great.
fast. Yeah, so that's the key.
It's got a peep on it, I'm guessing, right?
No.
No peep?
No peep.
Oh, okay.
No peep. It's got.
Are you pushing it a little, like cracking it a little bit, or it's just not even that slow that you can just let it be?
Yeah, every time I've come in, it's been like cool enough to just open.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was really nice to get and fun and a much needed tool.
Yeah, you got it pretty quickly.
Yeah, Clay King sent it in 3 days.
That's great.
It's crazy.
What kind did you get? Is it a
Scut.
Scut? Okay.
Yeah, it's a Scut. I can't remember what it's called, but it's a Scut something.
The controller's probably not like as big as the whole. Like they probably have to make it to fit the controller because the controller's just as tall as the kiln is probably.
The controller is screwed. You know how the controllers are screwed into the metal, right? The aluminum sheet around it. So the top of the controller is screwed into the aluminum metal, and the bottom of the controller is screwed into the fucking stand because it's too tall. And I had to like unscrew it and re-screw it back in because when they screwed it on, you know how Scuts, I don't know if you know this, but they're on a swivel. So like if you unscrew it, it swivels out. It's like a little door hinge kind of thing.
Right.
And they were like off the door hinge. So I had to unscrew it and then put it down. I mean, like they're all handmade. It's not like, they can't be perfect all the time. So then I had to kind of readjust. But
well, that's a nice little toy.
yeah, that'll be nice for the van.
Right, and that's a 120 volt
115.
plug up. Yeah.
Yeah.
It plugs up to a regular outlet.
Regular wall plug.
That's great.
Yeah. Yeah. Tell me about Goshen.
All right, so Goshen was amazing.
Yeah.
It was so I kind of framed it as like a claycation is what I called it.
Yeah.
And when I told my coworker that a little bit ago, they were like, "Oh, you're going to like take a break from clay?" I'm like,
No.
"Oh, that's probably what it sounds like, doesn't it?" No. It was
like
just intended to just be kind of experimenting with a different form of process and work that I don't normally do, but I have like a love for and an affinity for. Because in college I did a lot of wood firing and gas firing and raku fire. Like there's so many different atmospheric firings out there, and I missed that a little bit. So we chatted with Trevor from Trevor Clayworks on the podcast. I don't remember what episode it was. I can look that up. But we chatted with him and talked a lot about soda firing because we had some people asking about that. And I, reached out probably 2 or 3 months ago and was like, "Hey, I'm thinking about making a visit. I'd love to get in there and go through a firing with you and see how the process works and, take it from, getting there to glaze all the way up till cool down and taking it out of the kiln." So we planned it I got there on Wednesday, like midday Wednesday, and then I left Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
So it was a good amount of time. It wasn't short and condensed. And in the past, he's talked about, you can ship me some stuff and I'll fire it and we can unload it. But
it was
just did it all together.
It was episode 122.
Episode 122.
Yeah.
So that was a good timeline. I had some. It was pretty open-ended we got there and glazed on Wednesday. I got there, it was about 4.5 hour drive, so not too bad, not too far away. I took about 30 pots with me and glazed Wednesday, Thursday, wadded, loaded the kiln, and then candled it at night. The next morning, he ramped it up, and then we did more of the firing, the gas reduction for the copper reds, and then we did the soda prep with taking the powder, dissolving it in water, mixing that up, spraying it in the kiln, and then we were kind of hitting the top temperatures, and we took some wood, threw some wood in there, just add another variable. And then we turned it off Friday night at about 8:30 p.m. Okay. So in total, it was about, I think it was like 26 hours ish from candle to turning it off. So saw it all the way through, and then Saturday was kind of a chill day. We were just waiting for it to cool. It takes like an entire. I mean, most kilns take about 24 hours to cool, but this one, so 8:30 p.m. and then we didn't unload it until Sunday at like 11 a.m.
Okay.
So it was more than 24 hours. It was about. Is that 36 hours ish?
Yeah. There's a lot more pieces.
I mean, it's a long process.
There's a lot more pieces in a kiln like that, and they're pretty large.
Yeah, so I don't know the total number of pieces. It was probably close to about 100 maybe. Yeah. We had a pretty... I would say I was about a third of the kiln, and he had about 2/3 of the kiln.
Did Josh have stuff in the kiln?
Josh did not, so... Josh, Heim, and I'm trying to remember the other gentleman's name that came up. I'm going to get it wrong. One of his studio mates came up.
Oh, did he have a really big beard?
Yes.
Luke.
Luke, there we go. Luke, yes. He has rabbits that do competitions. He was talking about that.
He looks exactly like one of my professors from college. It is uncanny.
Yeah. Like a big burly guy. And they came up Sunday morning. He's in Warren, Indiana, so it's about an hour and a half drive. And drove up and, experienced the kiln opening with us and saw some of the pieces and, bought a few things from
Aw.
I didn't sell anything because I was like, I'm taking everything with me. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I bought one of Trevor's things as well as Josh and Luke bought some stuff too. So,
Cool.
yeah, it's just start to finish the process, plus the ability to have some downtime to throw.
Mm-hmm.
If I wouldn't have, I planned to. I'm glad I asked him before I left. Like, hey, can I bring some clay with me and throw while I'm there?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I figured there would be some downtime, but I also possibly could have felt a little guilty if I wouldn't have done something with my free time, because there was a lot of it. But it was great. I mean, each day we also visited some studios locally
That's awesome.
and talked to some other potters.
Yeah, because Trevor
So we
doesn't,
went-
like, clay is his job, right? So he's not...
Yeah, Clay's his full-time job.
Yeah.
And then he has a wife and a daughter, and his wife's pregnant. So they do, home studio, and it's kind of a family activity, and Bree helps with some of the studio stuff as well along the way. And she's an art teacher locally. So yeah, it was just nice to have the mix of, okay, this is what we're gonna done in the studio, and then let's have some free time and we're gonna go visit this. I'm gonna show you this studio.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna go to this local brewery, whatever, for dinner.
Yeah.
Or you're on your own for dinner, and then we kind of mix and match what we're doing each day. So saw Mark Gerston, I don't know. He's in the old bag factory, which is like an old warehouse kind of thing, and it's a really cool building. And that, this pottery's been here for many years. Trevor used to work there, so he knows the guy. And there's a lot of different wood firing and soda firing work, and I was just like in a candy store of so much work to see and look at.
It should be noted that for people that are not from Indiana that don't know this, because I sure as fuck didn't know this, Goshen, Indiana is like a pottery capital. In Indiana, at least.
Yeah.
It's like...
It's kind of like a small Asheville.
Yeah. It's very much like there's a lot of potters up there, so...
Right. And then Saturday, during cool down day, we went to Justin Rawshank's house and studio, which was great. Got to chat with him, and we spent about an hour and a half there, something like that. And Sunday... No, not Sunday. Maybe that was Friday.
Did you?
I think that was Friday morning, actually.
Okay.
That was Friday when we were firing. We started the firing, and then it takes a long time. So we visited Justin Friday, and then Saturday we went to kind of like Amish country in Shipshawana.
Riverwood.
And we saw Riverwood, Jesse. He actually listens to the podcast. He said that's his Saturday morning ritual, which was funny because we went in on Saturday morning, and he was like, "Oh, good to see you. Like, I was about to turn on Wheel Talk." He said that's my Saturday kind of ritual or whatever.
Yeah, him and Isaac are really close. They're like tight.
Yeah.
And so when I was at Isaac would always call Jesse, and then me and Jesse were talking, so.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
And, it was funny because Isaac does have some stuff at the shop. And then both Trevor and Jesse were talking about Isaac, like how big of a following he has, and like Michiana Pottery Tour, how much pumpkins he sold, and like just the community because he went to school there. I think I don't know if he went to Goshen College or if he went
to Goshen. He went to school with Trevor.
Goshen College. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so like just the community there that like supports him, as well as like the Mennonite community, because
he's Mennonite.
Isaac's Mennonite and Trevor married a Mennonite.
Yeah.
So it's like the community of just support, even though he doesn't live there, but when he comes there, they're just like flocking to him to get this stuff. It's crazy.
Like, where is that 6'7" man?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's 6'6".
So,
it might be 6'6". I don't know. He's probably gonna hate me after this.
He's tall as shit, whatever it is.
He's tall as shit.
Is there a difference between 6'7", 6'6"? I mean, they're both like
I can stand
giant.
on a folding chair and not be as tall as Isaac. So
I feel like he's 6'8". I don't even think 6'6" does it.
I think he's 6'6". Yeah.
He's very tall.
He's very tall.
So yeah, it was just like, I don't know. I mean, not enough good things to say about it. I think it was that you get to kind of, besides just getting in somebody's studio, you get to see like how their like family is, and
Can we talk about the house really quickly?
Oh, the house is great. Rachel was jealous because I forgot to take a lot of photos.
Oh no!
I didn't really take many photos in the house. Well, what I was trying to be conscious of was when I was spending time with them, I wouldn't be just on my phone a lot.
Yeah.
So whenever I was at dinner with the family or whatever, I would not have my phone out, even though they did have their phone out a little bit at dinner and stuff. But you know, Rachel called me a couple times, like while I'm in the house talking and we're just having tea or whatever, and I'm like, I'm not gonna answer my phone. She's like, I cannot get a hold of you if I was dying.
Yeah. So here's the thing about Trevor's house, is that he has some extremely amazing mid-century modern furniture and paintings. And
I think the house was more of the characters than the house was built by a potter.
The house was built by the potter
50 years ago.
Teacher.
He lived there for 50 years.
Yeah, his
I think.
college professor was built by his college professor, and
it's crazy.
Yeah,
the studio, the house, all of the woodwork is amazing.
Yeah, jealous.
I was like, do y'all have any pets? And he was like, no. I'm worried about like cat claws on the wood or dog claws on the wood. Like that would not be good.
Yeah. Oof.
So I mean, there's tile everywhere. He's got the backsplash is all handmade tile from the person that made the house.
Yeah.
And then there's accents to the cabinets that have tile, and the bathroom sink and countertop is all tile in the spare bathroom. It's nuts.
That's crazy. So cool.
Yeah, they had some great art and mid-century. The fireplace.
Did you finally get to sit in an Eames chair? Doesn't he have an Eames chair?
Yes, I did not sit in it though.
What? You had?
I didn't just hang out in their living room. Their daughter was kind of hanging out in there. I didn't want to be like,
okay. But that is the perfect opportunity to be like, I really want to get an Eames chair in my future. Can I sit in yours? Like, Ryan, you had the perfect opportunity.
I think I've sat in one on display before.
Sure, whatever.
That's okay. I was trying to be respectful of their house and stuff. I didn't want to.
If I walked into that house, that would be the first fucking place I went to. I'd be like, I'm sorry, who are you? I'm looking at this chair.
No, they're like shoes off when you come in the house. Bet. So I didn't want to just start making myself at home. Like, I'm going to go check out all this stuff. I mean, I was intently looking at the woodworking and stuff, which was...
No, amazing. I would ask to sit in the chair. I wouldn't like force myself on the chair, but I would ask.
And they had some great pottery collection. Yeah, I think just having the time to slow down was the best part of it.
I'm proud of you.
Yeah, I was able to, throw some stuff late in the night.
Yeah. After
he was like, stay as long as you want. I'm gonna go, check on the girls and stuff and. Yeah. Sweet.
Okay, well, we're 32 minutes in. We should probably...
Yeah. And if anybody wants to see part of the process, you can just go to my feed. I documented, like, everything along the way.
Yeah.
That was kind of my, like, journal along the way. So I was teaching little parts of the process.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
It was really fun. So thanks again to Trevor and Bree for having me. It was something I'd like to do again.
Maybe that time I'll go up with you. That'd be fun.
You should.
Yeah. I couldn't do it this time.
Something like that, or just like getting involved in a wood firing would be great too. Yeah. I think you would like that too.
Yeah, for sure. These 3 months are crazy just because of the van and all the things, and also, I put a notice on my apartment, so I leave December 31st. So.
Right. Yeah, it's crunch time for you.
It's crunch time. So, yeah. But I do feel like I'm in a very good spot. So, okay, what are we talking about today?
We're talking about some considerations you should have when you're buying used equipment. So, we're going to mainly focus on kilns.
Yes.
Possibly wheels.
Yes.
We did have a couple episodes where we talked about some of this stuff. We had Buying Wheels, episode 67. Mm-hmm. And then we talked about kilns on episode 69.
But we mostly talked about new kilns on 69. So we really
Right.
want to focus on used. I've been getting a ton of people asking me questions. It seems to be like the kiln buying season.
I think it could be people coming off of buying stuff during the pandemic, maybe,
Yeah.
or they're upgraded, or they're looking to upgrade. And I mean, there's no shortage of kilns out there, anyways.
No. But
I feel like there's always kilns on the market.
there is an inflation of kilns.
Yes. People are like, inflation's a thing. Let's price up these kilns.
Yeah, seriously, it's insane. So, yeah, and let's start off by saying me and Ryan are fairly cheap people, so we're not gonna go for,
I've literally never bought a new kiln.
Yeah, he's never bought a new kiln. I buy new kilns. I'm fine with it, but with that being said, if you're a little bit looser on your budget and can afford a little bit more, then that's up to your prerogative. But we're just going to kind of tell you what to look out for. And also, it should be noted that a lot of the people that are selling these kilns have no idea what they have. So you almost have to have to almost educate the seller and be like, this is why this is too expensive.
But wait, if you're in the intention of buying it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, like if you're the buyer, you have to be like, this is actually worth $200 less because of this, or whatever.
Which puts you in a weird spot because they could be turned off from it and just not even listen to you because somebody else will come across and pay for it.
Right. But
you're losing out to somebody who's less educated on the thing they're buying.
But I mean, like, one of the people that asked me this week, he said that, like, he was like, hey, this and this and this, like, this person I consulted with, said it's worth about this. And she goes, oh, I didn't know that. I didn't do any research. I just got it in an estate sale. Like,
right.
So it's one of those things where you almost have to educate the seller.
Well, it depends on who you are as a seller too. I mean, you would hope that as a seller you would do more research than just looking at the tag and documenting what's on the tag of here's the cone, here's the phases, and here's the voltage.
You would hope, but nobody does that.
And here's some photos of the kiln.
Yeah.
Versus actually going out to Facebook Marketplace, going to Craigslist, looking on wherever, Clay Buddies.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people probably share listings on there and say, is this worth it or not?
Right.
There's probably a backlog of people that have showed stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, like, tons of people get kilns
and then that should
passed
educate
down,
you as a seller what your thing's worth.
Yeah. Tons of people get kilns passed down and they don't even know what they are, Like...
Mm-hmm. And then also knowing what equipment costs is besides the kiln, what do elements cost?
Yeah.
What do thermocouples cost? What do bricks cost? Are you going to be able to transport this easily? Not. Are you going to have to drive 3-4 hours? Not. Like,
yeah.
Longer than that?
Exactly.
Some people drive longer.
Yeah, I mean, like, let's just start out with what do you look for when you are going to get a kiln?
Okay, so the thing that I'm mainly going to look for is it the size that I need? So is it going to accommodate me now and into the future? Mm-hmm. If it's too small and I'm not going to see myself using it, 2 years from now, like I'm going to need something way bigger, I'm probably not going to consider it. I want something I can grow into.
Yep.
And then I would say the kiln brick quality, like lid and like cracking, stuff like that, because you don't want to be overhauling bricks. Personally, I've done that with a couple kilns because of just deterioration, or there's glaze, gunked up on it and it melts and deteriorates to soft brick. Elements can be changed Even if it's an older kiln, you can find elements for pretty much any kiln these days that's old. And I would say those are the two primary factors I'm looking at, besides the specifics of technical things, like the firing temperature. That might have been what you were getting to, but those are the aesthetic things I'm looking at in a listing.
That's fair.
So what about you to add on to that?
Oh, okay. I look at, brick quality is big. I look at the box on the outside to see what kind of condition it is in. So, like, the electrical box on the outside, because if it's in bad condition, then there's a chance that it's got some fucked up wiring going on in there.
What do you mean bad condition? Like there'd be rust on it?
Not rust,
or...
but just like you can usually tell, like if it's all banged up and stuff like that, like, you know.
Or if the cord coming out of it is not a solid cord or like a good looking housing on the cord.
I look at, obviously I look at the cone temp.
Max temp, yeah.
There's a good trick for whether you if there's no like measurements, you can see how much usually if they have the wattage, you know, if it's 60 watt, it's probably about a 23-inch kiln. 23 is about 7 cubic feet.
Well, it's not going to say 60 watt. It's probably going to say like 48 watt.
On the side, right. But yeah, if it's like a 60 watt plug or whatever like that. I also make sure that they have some way of plugging it in.
Yeah, so like looking at the cord itself, whether it's a cord with a outlet on it or if it's just a cord with it cut off or something.
But like if you're buying a kiln from somebody and they don't have a way for you to test it to make sure it runs, that's an almost immediate no for me. That's an immediate no
or a significant discount.
Yeah. So that's like big for me. And I know that, and I also do look at the elements. Like I know you don't look at the elements, but I look at the elements to see what shape they're in, because if they're in bad shapes, if they're in a bad shape, that means that I can talk them down. Say like, hey, I have to buy elements for this kiln and it's going to be $300. So
that's true. You know. Yeah, that kind of goes along with the kiln brick quality, but it definitely adjusts the price.
Definitely use that to your advantage.
What are some things to look for at the kiln element? Is it just the color of it? Is it the tilting, leaning of them?
Yeah, I mean, like if they're
popping out, sagging. Right,
if they're falling out, sagging, that's one thing. I would say, if they lean and they're like smushed together. And I just saw one recently where the color was almost like rusted red. And I wouldn't trust that for a hot second.
Those things are so brittle. Yeah. And it's like, how are they rust color? Yeah. They shouldn't be rust color. If anything, they should be like a light gray color because they're so oxidized. Yeah. If they're rusty color, it makes it sounds like it's oxidized, but it also got water on it.
Yeah, or something. I don't even know. Like it's been sitting in the humid for like ever. So I would definitely look for that. If you're on Marketplace, definitely something to ask is, if they don't have very good pictures, ask to see the inside of the kiln, ask to see the side of the kiln with the wattage panel on it. And if it doesn't have a panel on it, don't fucking buy it.
Doesn't have a panel. So they would have like hardwired it?
No. Sometimes kilns don't have like panels on the side. Like old ones don't have like panels saying like how many watts it is, what temp it goes to.
Oh, right.
So you have no idea.
Yeah, that's not even worth the headache. Even if it's free, no. You don't know what the fuck you're doing.
Okay, so let's talk about kiln temp. What's acceptable and what's just not.
All right, so we've talked about this a little bit in the past, here and there, but this will be very specific. So Becca's always said, if you're going to cone 6, you need a kiln that goes up to cone 10.
Yeah, cone 8 is acceptable, but not preferred.
Cone 10 preferred.
Yeah. Cone 10 preferred.
Cone 8.
Cone 8 acceptable.
Second. Cone 6.
Not acceptable.
Not acceptable. Even if you're going to cone 5. Like, cone 6 is not going to work.
It may hit cone 5. Maybe.
And why does it not work?
It doesn't work because it would be like putting it at 100% all the time. So it might not even hit the temp. Cone 6 is like on your speedometer saying it goes to 200 miles an hour, but like most of the time you only go to 100 miles an hour. And like, have you ever actually gotten the car to 200 miles an hour? That's cone 6.
Would you want to get the car to 200 miles an hour? Like, what's going to happen here? Is my car going to start falling apart?
That's cone 6. If the cone, and now here is some acceptable reasons for getting a cone 6 or a cone 1 kiln. All low fire. Like if you have to do,
or you're only using it for
when
bisque.
you're only using it for bisque, or only using it for like paint your own pottery low fire. That's completely acceptable.
Or if you're going to like convert the kiln to something else.
Right, like a gas kiln or
and you just need the body of it.
Yeah, that's fine. But definitely go in knowing that. Like, I would get a cone 8 kiln if I knew I was going to bisque more than I was going to glaze. And also if it was a real screaming deal. You know, like it was a real good deal, and I wasn't worried about like buying the elements later on, you know.
Are there a lot of cone 8 kilns still on the market, like being built, or
yes,
is that like
tons.
Like old ones? I thought it was mostly cone 6 or cone 10 being built still.
No, I got a cone 8 kiln brand new a couple years ago.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was when I was desperate and I didn't know the difference. you know. But it was more than a couple years ago. But oh shit, that was 5 years ago.
Wow.
Anyway, yeah.
Okay, so what about the amps and whatnot? You do have to consider that because it's gonna differ.
Doesn't matter.
The amps are gonna differ based on the breaker that you can put in.
Yes.
For one, you need to know what your breaker box can handle, wherever you're hooking it up.
Yeah.
And generally, I think you can take it 25% higher than what the max is on your panel. Or sorry, on the sticker on the kiln, whatever it says. Let's say it says 30 amps. You want a 40 amp breaker for that.
Yeah.
You don't want a 30 amp breaker for a 30 amp kiln.
Same situation. Same.
Just like your breaker, you don't want to take your breaker to 100%.
Yeah, same car scenario. So yeah, so if you have a 48 amp kiln, that's pretty standard. That's going to be a 60 amp breaker.
Right. And you can expect that once you get up to those higher breakers, the breaker is going to cost more money, but also the thing that's going to cost the most money is the wiring and the labor to get it installed. We bought wiring for my kiln. It was not cheap. It was like $500 for wiring or something like that. It was, and the longer that wire is going to go, the more wire you're going to need, the more it's going to cost.
Right.
So, consider that in relation to where your breaker box is.
Yeah.
Who's going to be hooking it up? How much it's going to cost for labor? That's a big consideration as well.
That's why
But also, I mean, the kiln size is going to dictate the amps for the most part. So
that's why, I chose to put my kiln on my front porch because it was literally a foot away from the breaker.
Right. They don't have to spend a lot of time running the conduit, weaving it, putting the brackets on it, and splitting it. And,
that's a lot.
Hooking up a outlet. Did they hardwire that or
no? Not that kiln. No.
They put a plug.
Yeah, just a plug. Okay. Oh, another consideration. Oh, this was a big one and we almost forgot it. Another consideration: is it a kiln sitter or is it an electric component?
Yes.
Huge. That is a huge consideration. So, what does that mean to you as a homeowner or somebody who's firing a kiln? Right?
Yes. It's a lot to do with what time you can can you babysit the kiln? Right. Is it going to work with your lifestyle of when you plan to do pottery, not do pottery? Is it in your garage that you need to babysit? Is that accessible different times of the year? Right.
So kiln sitters are fine. They fire fine. But you do have to turn them up every 2 hours. Even if that means you have to get up at 2 a.m, walk downstairs 2 flights and turn it up.
Mm-hmm.
We've all been there. They are just like
and
a child.
It's not like set 2 hour, but in general, you're gonna have to turn it up over time. So
yeah, and there are electronic boxes that you can get for kiln sitters, where the whole kiln plugs into the box, and then the box plugs into the actual plug. And those tend to cost about $500, $400 to $500, or they used to when I bought one.
And is that gonna still use the same plug?
Yes.
For the wall.
It'll still use the same
like
plug.
That the kiln would plug into this outlet. Yeah. So instead of the kiln plugging into the outlet, the box plugs into the outlet, and then the kiln plugs into the box.
Right. And then you would put a thermocouple into the kiln, and then it controls it just like an electronic controller. You can get those. I know for sure you can get them at Seattle Pottery Supply. I don't know about any other suppliers, but yes. But the benefit to that is that you can get a kiln sitter for a lot cheaper than you can get a electric kiln. So if that's something that you want to do, that's good. Also, if you have very specific things that you want to fire, kiln sitters may not be the way you want to do it. Like if you're firing dark clay, if you're firing lots of iron high clays, you may want to get an electronic controller so you can do the right bisque. Right?
Okay. I don't know about those clays, but you're saying you have to use like a slower bisque firing schedule?
Typically, yeah.
Okay.
So,
or if you're using certain glazes that you want microcrystals to form,
yeah,
you kind of get up to temp, and then you can keep some of the things on, but you'd have to kind of trick the kiln sitter from not turning it off, because kiln sitter, you get it up to temp, so it shuts off,
and that's it.
And then it cools naturally. There's not really a good, easy way to like hold and do all that stuff. You kind of have to do that with some trickery to make that work.
The nice thing about a kiln sitter kiln, though, is that you kind of can treat them like an old car. You're just like, meh, it's fine. Like, if you like bump the brake, you're like, whatever. I do like that.
I mean, they're very simple machines.
Yeah, I love kiln sitters personally. I think they're great. So, and they're a lot easier to fix than other ones. So,
yeah, there's less wiring less technology to worry about.
Yeah, but you have to keep in mind the price difference between an electronic controller versus a kiln sitter. A kiln sitter should be significantly less than an electronic controller. So,
right.
If somebody's, to be complete,
you'd be lucky to find an electronic controller kiln for less than like $500, $600 probably.
Right. I would never pay more than $200 for a kiln sitter kiln. Like, absolutely not. So,
say that one more time.
I would not pay more than $200 for a kiln sitter kiln. You'd be far pressed for me to pay more than $100, honestly. So,
and why is that? I could think a couple reasons.
Because they're old, for one.
Yes, that's number one.
One, they're old.
Number two, I was thinking there's a lot on the market. There's
Tons.
A lot of competition of people selling these. Like you said, they're really old. They can hold up. I got my first kiln sitter kiln, and it was from the mid-'70s.
We had the same one, the Duncan Teacher.
Well, I got one before that. There was a Scut that had like a blank ring in it, and it stacked. It was like a 3 level stack one.
I've had one of those. We didn't know what temp it went to.
And yeah, you can find some out there. You can also find people getting rid of them for free.
Yeah.
So, spending more than we've seen people posting kiln sitter kilns listed for, hey, this is $400. Is this worth it? And it's 3 hours away, or more than that. Even if it's a really big kiln. I feel like there's kind of a limit of how big the kiln sitter kilns are usually, though.
Yeah, I've never seen an oval kiln sitter. Interesting.
Are they usually bigger than like 7 cubic feet? I feel like that's kind of...
I've never had a bigger than 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I had 2 7s.
That's good. I would say that's a pretty good differentiator. If you're needing a kiln that's bigger than 7 cubic feet, would you say you pretty much have to go with an electronic
I think you
controller?
should. You know, you should. I do feel like,
There's more work at risk
yeah,
there. You don't want to mess something up with that much
I do
work.
feel like since kilns are a little bit older, I am always a little bit skeptical of the wiring that's involved in them, and like how they're attaching. Like I've had to change out the wiring on both of my kilns, the kiln sitters, and
What wiring? The ones that link the bands together, kind of?
that and also,
Because the elements is pretty simple.
yeah, no,
but...
not the elements, the wiring like in the box and then the box to the wall. Like, if it's got like a cord that's wrapped in fabric, that's a fucking huge red flag.
Because that could have been a standard when it was built.
Right, that could have been a standard when it was
upgraded.
built, but that's not. No, you don't know. That's not something we do now. That causes fires.
Right. You might want to get an electrician to hook that wire up for you. Hook a new wire up and the outlet that goes into the wall. I mean, that's reasonable to replace.
Oh, so easy too. It's super easy. Oh yeah, if you find a kiln and they can't plug it in, or it just has a cord and it doesn't have a plug, and they give it to you for a reasonable cost, putting a plug on it costs $10. It's so cheap. Like, easy. So
you just need to make sure you're doing that correctly. I would say consult with somebody that does electrical work, or hire an electrician to do it, because the wire to the plug and the plug to the thing, that's where a lot of the melting of things happen, and plugs shit the bed.
Yeah.
How many plug outlets have you seen that just look melted?
Yeah, it's always safer to hardwire them in. Always safer to hardwire your kilns in. Although it's not always like doable or convenient. Okay, so let's put in a scenario. Okay, let's say, oh, here's a good scenario. Actually, it's the one that most recently. So it's okay, you talk for a minute while I find
Okay, the only other thing I was thinking about that you will also have to consider when buying the kiln is, are you going to vent it? How are you going to vent it? That will factor in with where you need to put it. You need to consider, we've already kind of mentioned the wiring, so how far is it from your breaker box is going to factor into how much it's going to cost to get it wired. Do you want a plug to plug it into? Do you have ample space around it to not catch things on fire? Is it going to be accessible for you to go from your studio to the kiln safely without dropping a bunch of pots or whatever? Usually people can put them in an exterior garage that's detached or whatever, and it's not a big deal. And that also helps with venting. If you're firing it in a detached garage, you're not living in that space, so the venting can be a little bit more relaxed. We talk about that in the episode 69, the kilns. I remember we specifically talked about how to vent the kilns, I believe. And then we had a separate episode called Kiln Venting that you should look up too. I think that was 30-something. But there are some vents out there. You can get these are downdraft vents, but the Enviro vent is a popular one. That's a Scud, I believe. And then I have the Orton Ventmaster, which is very similar.
I've never owned a vent in my life.
But you also haven't lived in the space that you've had kilns, right?
Correct.
Necessarily.
Well, I mean, sure. I have put in a greenhouse fan on the side of the wall, and I guess I do have a vent on this kiln now, but I don't think it actually works. We just had to have it for the insurance. Like, it runs. I don't know if it actually pulls anything out.
But it's pulling air from the room to the outside, right?
No, it's like,
in general, so that ambient air around the kiln is getting out of the room?
No, it's pulling air from the bottom of the kiln, but it's like, who knows how much air from the bottom of the kiln.
Oh.
Dusty set it up, and he was like, he just literally shoved the hose under the kiln and was like, that's good enough.
Well, I mean, you would be able to tell you would probably smell some things in the room.
Oh, I forgot another thing that is very important. You need to make sure that it's either phase 1 or phase 3 and what your power is. Typically, residences are phase 1, so that's ideally what you want, but...
Phase 3s are generally going to be school kilns. So if you find one at auction and it's from a school, it might be phase 3, and you probably don't want to get it.
Yeah.
Even if it's a hell of a deal. You can convert it, but you need an electrician to do that, and I don't even know what's involved in that, but... or how much that's going to cost. You could pay just as much for the kiln as you could for the conversion, probably.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ooh, I just thought of something too. So, okay, did you find what you were looking for?
Yes. Okay, so this is an actual live listing,
On Facebook Marketplace?
Facebook Marketplace right now. It's a Duncan pottery kiln. It is a Duncan Energy Saver EA-1029, the Pro Plus. I know the exterior dimensions are 36 by 34, so I want to say that it's... it doesn't look that big, honestly, so... it's probably 5 cubic feet, 3 to 5, somewhere in there. There's 2 sets of elements, which would say that it's probably a 3 cubic foot kiln. And it's a kiln sitter. It is going for... oh, here's the description. Duncan Energy Saver Automatic Kiln AE-1029, the Pro Plus. The Pro Plus comes with settings for overglaze, ceramic, and high fire, along with hours of estimated firing time. That alone...
they copied this shit.
That alone tells you that they know nothing about pottery. So that's one of those situations where you have to go in saying, like, okay, let's talk about this.
I know. I could educate myself to know more than the seller.
Would you like to guess how much they're trying to sell it for?
I'm trying to look for it, but I couldn't find it. I'm going to guess at least $400.
$500.
Okay.
It was at $1,000, but she marked it down to $500.
Oh my God.
This kiln is worth $100. It is not worth more than $100 in my opinion. Now, the inside looks fine-ish. She doesn't even have a picture of the inside, but the lid looks fine-ish. It's got a chain on it, so at least it will hold itself up. The lid. Mm-hmm. It's there's no pictures on the inside. There's no picture on the side. We don't even know what temp it goes to. You'd have to look it up. It looks like it probably goes to 2,500 degrees. So that would be cone 10, which I don't know.
This is being somebody that, and Rachel can attest to this, being somebody that has sold on Facebook Marketplace, I just get nitpicky about putting out as much information as you can so that it saves you from getting questions, so that you have your buyers be educated enough so that they don't waste your time.
Yeah, but she's not educated, that's the thing. So
right.
she
doesn't
know what she has. So I know that for a fact.
So she took some pictures. She put the basic amount of information in there to make it sound good.
Yeah. So
put the price and see who's
what
biting.
am I going to ask her in my first message? What are my questions going to be?
I missed some of the description, but I'm guessing the panel.
Yeah, can I see a panel? Can I see a picture of the panel?
Photo of the panel.
Can I
photo of the inside?
Picture of the inside.
I mean, the panel is gonna be the most important, but you don't want to have to go back and forth.
Right.
So panel and then photo of the inside is probably going to be your...
That's my main question. Yep.
Yes.
And Do you have any way to plug it in to test it?
Okay. That'll save you from getting there and then...
Mm-hmm.
Rachel's made that mistake sometimes where she'll contact somebody about something and she doesn't know the dimensions of it, if it's going to fit into exactly what she wants it for. So she won't ask those questions before she gets there, and then she feels pressured like she has to buy the thing because she showed up.
Oh, yeah, I hate that.
Even if it's cheap, and then you're like, well, it's okay, I can sell it, it didn't work for what I wanted. But you wasted your time, right? Especially with a kiln purchase, you don't want to go through that process of buying something that you're like, I can't really use this for what I wanted.
Yeah.
But...
So, also, this was 3 hours away from the person that wanted it, their house.
Ooh. Would you drive more than 3 hours for a kiln sitter kiln? Okay. Depends on where you're at. I mean, if you're in BFE, you might need to drive 3 hours to the biggest city near you that has some kilns, but... I mean, you're only making this trip once.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you better be sure that I'm gonna be buying this thing if I'm making that long of a trip. Yeah. I'm not just going to look at this thing 3 hours later.
Right. I know. I actually had to talk one of my friends out of going 3 hours away to go look at a kiln, and I was like, absolutely not. You should not go get that kiln. Do not. And when she had a kiln literally right in front of her face, I was like, go get the kiln that is right there. And she was like, well...
Even if you got to pay a little bit more money, you don't have to drive 3 hours. Yeah. And if they have better... Hopefully there's enough good photos that you can see. Yeah, I mean, I feel like you're going to see a lot of older kilns that have a lot of bricks falling it down. The bottom's going to look like shit.
I think at some point... And, oh, man, somebody was talking to me, too. She lives in Australia and is... impossible to find like kilns in Australia right now, apparently, and they're really expensive. They're like super expensive, and sometimes you're like not in a good position to buy ever, you know. And then, like at that point, should you save up and just buy a new one, you know? Like,
yeah, well, you have to weigh the cost, right? How much are you paying to fire at a community studio?
Yeah.
How much are you driving back and forth and risking breakage and waiting on their timetables? All that stuff should definitely factor into, time is money, right?
Oh, I would try, personally, I would avoid trying to buy kilns from community studios. Those kilns get beat to hell. So...
Yeah, they don't treat them like their baby.
Yeah, so keep that in mind. When you... What are you laughing at?
There's a Paragon kiln sitter kiln. It's not even stacked the right way. It looks like this guy took a photo with a fucking potato. Or a flip phone.
Can you send it to me?
Oh gosh, yes.
What is he selling it for?
$1,400?
No. This needs to be stopped. This is like this is an epidemic. This is a kiln information epidemic.
But we're just hopefully educating the people that are in the market for kilns that they can easily stay away from those kiln listings that have no business being what they are.
We're talking him down, at least.
But you think they're going to be talked down? I listed this at $1,400. Why would I sell it for $100?
No, this person, like the other kiln that I was telling you about, she basically was like, honestly, I just inherited it. Just give me an offer. At the end, when he was like, it seems too risky.
Right.
Oh no. Paragon high fire kiln. It's got a picture of the side of the plug.
That's your label. Paragon high fire kiln, which is the same photo from the first photo. It's just zoomed in.
$1,400. No, thank you.
The description: in good condition, fires accurately. Size: octagon. Shape: 23 inches by 30 inches. It has a 12-inch stand. You see, there's another one. $4,000. Kiln sitter and hundreds of molds.
Oh my God, never pay money for molds. Sweet Jesus. Like, people give away those in drinks.
Don't even answer phone calls about molds.
No.
I used to have my number on my Google listing. I would get people calling just either asking about getting pottery. Do you have pottery classes, or are you open, or whatever? And then sometimes I get phone calls that are just like, I have hundreds of molds. Do you want molds? No. I'm trying to get rid of some molds.
Here's one. It's a 3 cubic foot. Looks like it's 3. It's Paragon LT 3K kiln. And Paragon, like new, medium size, 220 volt kiln, was bought new and never used. Have two large ones that was used. It's dusty from being next to mixing table, but inside like new. Comes with books and such. It actually does look really good on the inside. It's being sold for $875. It's a kiln sitter. It's never been... Oh my fucking goodness. It has the book. It has the instructional book on the inside. Wow. I believe that it's never been used, honestly.
Wow.
But they still never... Oh, that plug is old. I would never plug that plug in. It's just like... God.
Does okay, here's another question. Does kiln furniture and things like that make any difference to you?
Yeah, it does. Kiln shelves are expensive. If they're in good shape and you can get kiln shelves, man.
Okay, I sent you another one that's a small one. It looks like a tiny kiln for kind of like your size. It doesn't exactly look like it's necessarily a pottery one, but I think it says Amico, so it is. I mean, they say it's for metal something, but metal enameling is what they said, but it looks just like a test kiln.
This kiln ships for $8.71.
That sounds like bullshit to me.
Fuck. It doesn't. It's like you can only.
Like you're just gonna put that shit in a priority box and ship it. You're gonna fit that thing in a flat rate box and just ship it.
This is an Olympic electric kiln. Sorry, I'm gonna look at yours. Actually, this one's in really nice shape. The outside is, not the inside. But okay, so let's see this one. The Amico. Hey, they have the side box on it.
Yeah.
Phase 1 amp, 10 amps. 10 amps. Kilowatts. It doesn't even have... Do not operate above 2,000 degrees.
Okay.
Kiln.
So that's a low fire kiln. Low fire.
Oh, no. This is a box. Oh, this is like an old Amico electric kiln.
It looks like it shuts or it flips up and shuts. Yeah, it flips up. Yeah, test kiln. Use test kiln. That's got to be cheap, right? That's got to be like $100 probably, less than $100.
Yeah, if I was this is $400 or best offer. If I was gonna spend $400 on a test kiln, I might as well save $500 more and get a brand new one.
And it'd probably have an electronic controller. I don't know if that one had a kiln sitter, but it had thermocouple sticking in it. Oh, it was the Amico box. That wasn't an electronic controller, though.
Yeah. Woof. But it's only 115 volts, so it plugs into the thing. But yeah, I guess, right. Okay, is there anything else that we need to talk about other than bashing on these kilns on the line?
I think the older kilns you're gonna see a lot of brands like Crest, Paragon. You're gonna see some Scuts, some Duncans probably. A lot of those I don't even think they make. Like I don't think Crest is a new kiln. Like Crest I don't think they make new ones anymore. Old. Duncan, they don't make new kilns anymore. Scut still does, but they've got some longevity to them, so you're probably gonna see some Scuts out there. the Paragon. There are some newer Paragons, but you're gonna see some old ones. Does the single body versus stackable
I was just
make
gonna
a difference
talk
to you?
about that because I found a Duncan with a single body. It looks like it's a 3 cubic foot for $600. Uh,
$100.
it's yeah. Okay. So it's a solid body versus a stackable one. Now, solid bodies are really hard to move unless they're small. I had a solid body 7 cubic foot kiln and it was a bitch and a half.
Oh yeah, that fucking
Yeah,
sucks.
it was
I think Diana has a solid body one, and
horrible.
it looks like a 7 cubic foot or something like that. That ain't easy.
It is hard, but they do keep the heat in. I will say that, and and they don't fall apart. So
Right, you're not worried about the sides, the rings like shifting
or anything like that. Yeah, but I would say keep the solid bodies for smaller kilns. But the rings are great for transporting.
Oh, definitely.
Even my oval was in rings.
I mean, the negative about the rings, if you're transporting it a lot, you could deteriorate the bricks and things like that because of the compression about the ring is not as tight as like a solid body, where the bricks are not going to be shifting. And you take an octagon ring and you pick it up by its side on the handle, and it's going to kind of oval a little bit, so the bricks are going to kind of contort and may break down a little bit. So yeah, and you risk the little gaps, if they don't fit perfectly on top of each other. And
I like this one. It says, "I'm willing to negotiate, but please no low balls." This is a Duncan kiln, solid body, 3 cubic feet. I say that because I can see that it's 3 cubic feet. It's $700.
No low balls. Like, if you threw $100 on there, that thing would be a low ball, and that's probably as much as you'd actually want to spend on it. 3 cubic feet?
I know, but the problem is, like, if these people are putting up this amount of money for these kilns, I can also...
I don't think they're buying it for that. I think they're wanting that amount of money because...
They think it's worth that
because of the piece of equipment it is.
Well, I'm just, like, concerned that if people are buying kilns for this price, then it's going to, like... make the
inflate the price, and that's the new price.
Yeah, and that's the new price. And I can see that this person also has a Shimpo Aspire.
Ooh,
that's in the.
That's where you get in the door with the kiln, and then you're just like, I see you got a wheel. You had a wheel too. Are you trying to get rid of that wheel?
Right.
I'm kind of curious. It looks like a smaller wheel. Would you take $100 for that?
I've paid $1,200 for a kiln and a Brent wheel. And all of his equipment.
I paid $1,500 for my Olympic kiln that I still have. Electronic controller. I got the Speedball Clay Boss wheel.
Yes.
Which is the old, like, when they were Creative Industries. And I got some studio stuff, like shelving and a lot of kiln furniture. $1,500. I had to drive about 2.5 hours, but that was worth it.
This is the only one that I've seen that may be almost worth it, even though it is a kiln sitter. But this is a 1027 cone 10 phase 3 scut.
Phase 3.
That's the only, like, it was definitely in a school.
Kiln sitter?
It's a kiln sitter, and it's $900. I might consider that. But, like, if I had phase 3. Because it is a massive kiln. Like, it's not small. But,
yeah, phase 3 would be... But you would still... you would never just at the... You would never not negotiate, right?
No, I would never not negotiate. I'd probably ask him for $600 off the bat. Say, hey... It's kiln sitter. Right. I would like to get an electronic controller, and that's going to cost me $400. I'll give you $600 for it.
Yeah, this is totally the art of negotiation here. You got to figure that stuff out.
But like this is in perfect condition and it's got a great brand new plug. Like it's in great shape. But that's like, oof. Yeah.
How much are you gonna have to spend on elements to replace those when you need to?
Yeah,
How much are you gonna spend
that
on
one's gonna be $300
furniture?
of elements. But I would say that they're probably in very good shape, and from the looks of it, at least.
Does a school kiln rank higher on your list than a community studio kiln?
Yeah, because teachers are loading it.
Yeah, and I would say teachers generally aren't gonna kill the kiln. They're probably gonna take it a little easier because there might be some teachers that don't have as amazing of skill sets with those kind of equipment.
Oh, this is great. Somebody in South Bend, Indiana did a really great job. Are you ready for this? This is the description. Paragon electric kiln for sale. Volts 120 243W. Amps 36.9. Watts 8861. Phase 1. Model A1238. Serial max temp 2350. That's cone 10. Need some wiring TLC. Brand new elements. $720.
$720?
$720, but now it is $450. I might pay $450 for that. Like in this market, I'd probably say I'll give you $300. But it looks like they have the lid off, so they just put the elements in. So I would imagine that they spent $300 on the elements.
This person cares enough to put all the description in there. They put the info that they would want to know.
I would also be willing to pay more money to somebody who actually knows what they're doing than somebody who I know knows nothing about the kiln itself. I am like that. I'm like
that's value there.
Like there's value in the fact that they like used it, they have worked on it, they know what they're doing, and they have a reason for setting the price the way they set it. Like those elements cost $300 alone. So
yeah, and they know that they price it that way, and saying new elements is saving the buyer a lot of work.
Ah, here we go.
Would you be willing to buy that without testing it?
Holy shit. There's one in Ohio. Yes, I would buy it without testing it. There's one in Ohio for $350. It's a Scut. It's a Scut 818, cone 10, 27.8 amps. So it's one of the smaller ones, but it's only $350. That is worth it. See that right there? It's an electronic controller. That's worth it.
Electronic controller for
$350. That's what we're talking about. So that's worth it, and it.
You will almost never see electronic controllers on Facebook Marketplace.
I'm sure they make you take all the molds, but just take the molds and throw them in the trash. It's fine. It's like
this was in Ohio?
Yeah, it's in Ohio. It's in Marengo, Ohio.
Marengo.
Which looks like it's a little bit north of Columbus.
Okay. 350. I mean, the first picture is the controller.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a great looking controller.
It looks like a clean kiln too.
That's a good looking kiln for sure. 350. That's priced appropriately.
That is priced absolutely 100% appropriately.
Look at the description. It says Skittles automatic kiln.
I love that.
I don't know if that auto-corrected. I'm assuming it did, and he did not look at it.
That's great.
That's hilarious.
Now we're like looking at kilns and neither of us need a fucking kiln.
What about bundling things? Like, do you care about some of that kind of stuff? How do you try to talk? Obviously, you talk them to what you want to buy. So if you can talk them out of having to buy the molds with it or buy the
Yeah.
wheel with it or whatever, like package deals.
Yeah. Here's one. It's a kiln with an M. Oh.
Kiln
Yes.
instead of
I
kiln.
like package deals, but only if I need the stuff. You know, it's like if I need the stuff, then I'll take it. But if I don't need a wheel or if I don't need the things, it's nothing to me, you know?
Yeah.
What about you? You've done a few package deals.
Yeah, just a couple. And I don't even I think the one from Bowling Green that I got, the kiln and the wheel and all that stuff. That was a Craigslist deal actually. That was listed on Craigslist. Reached out, like I said, drove 2.5 hours away. I had to drive my parents' SUV. I did not have a vehicle big enough at the time, so I packed that son of a bitch full as I could. I took everything I could. And I think I took some clay too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were giving me clay. Okay, so the very first wheel that I bought used. It was up the street in Alexandria, which is about 20 minutes from me now, ish. And yeah, that's where I got a lot of my glazes that I still use today. My bone and juicy turquoise and floating blues. I got those from her.
Oh, wow.
And I got a bunch of clay. I probably got 400 pounds of clay, 500 pounds of clay.
Dang.
That was why I started using standard 182 clay.
That's cool.
And it was the cone 6 to cone 10
I
clay.
found an oval kiln that's a kiln sitter.
And then, yeah. That was not
It's called...
I should have did more research with the standard clay, but I got the wheel and all that stuff for $900 is
That's
what I spent
pretty good.
for it.
I feel like package deals are great.
But I was I was at the last year of my senior year of college, so
yeah, I got a kiln and a wheel and all of his supplies for $1,200, and I remember I had to use his neighbor's trailer. Which were my friends, and they actually paid for half of it, and then I paid them back in like a week because I only had $600, and I used that wheel to its death. That Brent wheel, it was well used, and then the kiln was also well used. It wasn't the best kiln, but it wasn't the worst. You know?
Yeah.
I can't remember which one it was. Maybe it was one of the ones that kind of shit the bed, but I've had a...
Yeah, the first kilns I got were free. I got 2 free kilns that... It was also somebody that reached out to the university because I think they used to go there. They live in Highland Heights, so they lived probably 2 minutes from where I live now. And the campus is right across the street from me, so... They ended up saying, hey, I got a couple of kilns here. Do you have any students that want some equipment? So we went over there. There were 2 kilns, and one of them was a single body. I never used it. I ended up getting both of them for free, though. That's where I got that Scut kiln. It needed TLC. Yeah. They were firing sculptures in there, so they didn't really use shelves or anything like that. And they just put it in the bottom of it and fired it and didn't really use it too much. But it was the multiple pieces, and it was kind of, the bricks weren't in amazing shape, but it got me through understanding how to maintenance my kilns. Yeah. And like I said, it was free, so and I ended up selling the used one for like $100, like the other one for $100.
Oh, really?
The one I got for free. Yeah.
It
might have been in storage at my parents' house for a couple years, but I ended up selling it.
I just found like my very first kiln that I ever bought that was like big. I just found it. I don't know if it's the exact same one, but I've never seen another Crusader like this. It's a fucking Crusader kiln, and
oh my god,
it's
that sounds like a workhorse.
I'm sending it to you. It's okay. So there's 6 knobs all the way down the front, and that's what turns on the elements. And they're surrounded by a cage. It's a cage of wire. It's a wire cage that goes around it, and then there's like little, and all the wires are like in that cage. And it is the most dangerous kiln I've ever seen in my entire life. It's so if
it's a metal cage. All those knobs just look scary. There's like 6 knobs for this.
I almost lit the kiln on fire a few times turning those knobs. I'm not even kidding. Like, so this metal cage that goes like straight down, it's got all the wires behind it, and then it has like some of the, the padding, like the fire padding in there too.
Yeah, the
and
ceramic
if they're not like
fabric.
Connected properly, and you can't even take it off to like change out the wirings for the elements. It's like so hard to change the elements. That's also the kiln that I ended up burning the wire on the side, and
oh no,
and almost burning my house down. It is a piece of work, that fucking kiln.
I mean, the inside of this photos looks really nice. Oh
yeah, it looks really nice. It's also a solid body 7 cubic foot kiln.
God, that's big.
And they're selling it for $600, and I think that's probably what I paid for mine.
That's a big.
I might have paid $300 for mine, I think. Back in the day, I'd probably pay not that kiln, but if it was a solid body in that condition, or if it was a in that condition, a kiln sitter and that size, I might pay $300 for it, maybe. I think it's cone 10. If it was cone 8.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like most people selling these kind of kilns on here, and maybe it's just because that's what's on Facebook Marketplace still because they haven't sold yet.
Yeah.
It's mostly a lot of people that have inherited them, or they found them in the basement and it's in the garage storage. Like, they're not actively using these things. Right, like
this says, my friend gave it to me.
Yeah. Or yeah, their mother used to do it and she passed, so they're trying to get rid of her stuff. And they've got a whole studio full of molds and a kiln, and it hasn't been used for 15 years. Like, those are most of the people trying to sell these things that are not familiar with what they have.
Yeah.
So that's where you can come in with some knowledge about the pricing and what you need. Mm-hmm. And there's no shortage of kilns out there, so just be patient. Don't feel like you have to
be patient and lowball people.
Too much.
Don't lowball them, but like go in and say, if it's in your area and you're like, what the hell, just say, hey, I'll buy it for $100, and see what they say. Like, the worst they can say is no, or counter. Right. And then you say, well, it's not worth it. Like, it's in this condition. It only goes to this temp. It's blah, 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 and list your reasons.
Yeah. And maybe you're willing to go up to 150. So if you start at 100, if you get out there with 100, you got a discount on it.
Exactly.
And if they counter with, 200 or whatever, you say 150.
Yeah.
Or else that's as much as I'll go, or whatever. Some people don't like to play that game of the negotiating stuff. Rachel doesn't like that, but
I don't think you have any other way in the kiln market that we have right now. Honestly.
Yeah, you definitely shouldn't be paying for any of those kilns that we talked about, except for that $350 with the controller. Mm-hmm. None of those should be paid as they're listed.
And nobody buy this Crusader kiln that's in Delavan, Wisconsin. That'll burn your house down.
Okay, did you look at any of the wheels on there?
Oh, no, I haven't looked at the wheels yet.
I think the wheels are going to be a little trickier because, okay, go ahead and search for some wheels. The thing is, these days, there's way more wheels on the market that are not name brand wheels.
Oh, I see.
And you're risking getting a wheel that looks like a good price, but it's not a good quality. It's not a Brent or a Shimpo. All these brands that we're familiar with, if you've been around the pottery community and you've gone to pottery studios, you know what brands. Mm-hmm. and it could be an Amazon wheel that somebody's bought that was made in China
Yeah,
or
those
whatever.
have the short legs, but they do work okay. I mean, Aletha throws on one of those wheels.
But you shouldn't be paying like $150
No.
or $200
No.
for one of those.
I don't.
Like that might seem like a good price, but it's probably not going to be the quality that
I
you
feel
think
like
it
I'm
is.
not really finding any wheels. I feel like wheels are really, really difficult to find.
Used.
Yeah.
I think I just searched pottery wheel.
That's what I did, but we're in different areas,
Well, I just did 100 miles from the place I dropped it before.
Oh, here's an old kick wheel, an antique kick wheel for $500. There's a China wheel, like one of the eBay or Amazon wheels. There's one of the another Amazon.
Oh man, this is the I'm going to share this one with you. This was the wheel that I used in there was a one wheel in high school that was separate from the others. It was not a Shimpo, and it was this one. And it was pretty cool, actually.
Oh, that's one of the old Scuts, right? No, it's one of the old Amicos.
It says Amico.
Yeah.
So it's like a solid body. It's got the splash pan, kind of drip pan connected to it, and then there's like a little splash bucket that's underneath it.
Oh, that's cool.
So all the trimmings can go down
into
it.
I would 100% buy
and
that.
And then you can empty that. Not for $750.
Not for that much, but So okay, let's talk about.
And there's a seat attached to it.
What's the price of a new wheel right now? Like $1,400. I think you can get a Shimpo Whisper for like $900, maybe $800.
You might be able to get a speedball one. We're talking ones that have the full legs and everything, right? Not a tabletop wheel. Probably, I'd say probably 800. You can get a kind of a base price.
Yeah. Usually a Shimpo,
like solid branded wheel.
Yeah, usually a Shimpo Aspire or not Aspire, Shimpo
Shimpo VO Light is kind of the lowest.
Usually a Shimpo Light is good for almost everybody.
Yeah. Once you start getting up there in price, you're talking about horsepower of the motor, and honestly, most people can throw with the Shimpo Aspire. Like, horsepower-wise, if you're throwing mugs and bowls and some of those kind of things, the tabletop wheels are just fine for most people. The wheel head size is probably going to be the limiting factor of a Shimpo Aspire.
I love the 12-inch wheel head. I know that I am of the minority, but I love a 12-inch wheel head. And I don't know.
Why is
know.
That?
I think I honestly think it's just personal preference that I learned on a 12-inch. Like,
did your wheel head also accompany a splash pan when you were learning? Or no splash pan? At 12-inch?
No. Yes and no. So I had a Soldner kick wheel when I was learning in college. And that had a 12-inch head, and then it had a metal splash pan. But then when I bought my own wheel, it was the Soldner electric wheel, and it's a 12-inch head, and it has a splash pan. Or it didn't have a splash pan.
I mean, if it's the right price, you shouldn't be scared away from a 12-inch wheel head.
I don't think it should matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I mean, the standard these days is 14-inch wheel head, but you can find like Baker Hunt has some old Brents that have 12-inch wheel heads.
Yeah.
It looks a little funny because the splash pan's so big, but it's kind of nice because there's more gap.
I love it. Yeah.
The wheel and the splash pan. The only thing is, if you're throwing like big plates, you probably want like a 14-inch bat, but it will fit a 12-inch, like the bat pin holes of the 12-inch wheel head.
Yeah.
So, the bat pin distance is still the same. It's not.
Right. Yeah, I don't think it, like, don't not buy a wheel because it has a 12-inch splash pan or wheel head. Let's see. Okay. I think the most I've ever purchased a used wheel for is $350. But that was in 2018.
What kind of wheel was that?
I got Shimpo RK2s.
Really? For
Yeah.
$350?
And
Those are workhorses.
Yeah, they are workhorses. Those are the KitchenAids of the...
They don't even make those new anymore.
No, they do.
Right?
They do. Yeah, they do.
They do. Oh.
They're like the KitchenAids of the Toyotas of the pottery industry. And I guess I got the Brent for $600 because I paired it with the kiln. So I guess there's that. But
Okay. Yeah, like I said earlier, that was my wheel. $900 for the Brent. It's a Brent C. I still use it today. That's my primary wheel.
So you paid $900 for your Brent.
I paid $900 used. I had the money to spend. I was a student, even though, I mean, I was buying it for the longevity.
Right.
So
And you still use it.
I kind of legitimize it that way. But I got a lot of glazes and stuff out of it, so I've got my value out of it. I think
that's the thing about wheels is that, like typically, if you're buying a wheel that's like a good wheel, it will stay with you for the rest of your career. Like, I've had my...
That's also why the kiln, you don't need to spend $900 on a kiln. You're probably going to grow out of it if you're doing this for the longevity.
Right. Kilns they turn over a lot faster than wheels do.
Because at some point you're going to want to get an electronic controller.
Yeah.
And the kiln sitter is kind of holding you over until you get to that point where you're comfortable with.
Now, I will say this. If I've been kind of like thinking about the larger sized kiln sitter kilns, and if I knew I was going to get an electronic controller box to go with it, I would spend up to $600 on a kiln and then get the box, because then it's just like a regular kiln, because then I've like made it one of the kilns that would be sold if it's got good innards, then you've basically made it a $3,000 kiln, so there is that. I will say that is a
caveat. You're not going to sell it. If you had to resell it after you got the box, the electronic controller box, you wouldn't be able to sell that thing for more than $1,000, I wouldn't think.
With the electronic controller? Well, you can sell the electronic controller for $500. So just alone. Okay.
Yeah. Somebody might just want to buy that.
I sold mine by itself. Yeah.
Oh, really?
I think I gave my kilns away and then sold the controller box, yeah. But yeah, that's what I changed my mind. So that's my change. I would say that if I knew that I was going to get the box, or if I already had the box, it would make me I would be much more willing to buy a kiln sitter kiln that's real nice on the inside for a pretty penny.
What's the least you spent for a wheel?
A wheel?
Mm-hmm.
By the way, I totally lied to you earlier. I totally spent $800 on my Soldner wheel. I forgot about that.
Your brand new Soldner?
No, not the brand new one. The old one.
Yeah, that's what we talked about. Didn't we say the most you spent on a wheel? Or did we say used wheel?
I think it was used wheel. I spent...
What'd you spend on that
16.
Soldner new? $1,600.
Yeah, I didn't really buy it, but... Kind of.
Wasn't it like a factory defect, or there was something wrong, or it got shit? Somebody didn't buy it. Somebody was supposed to get it and they didn't, so it was at the factory or something like that.
Or something like that. Like they had one left, and then I was supposed to get the P100, and then they didn't have the P100 motor, so they gave me the P200 for the same price.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And then my parents picked it up and paid for it with a check, and I was supposed to pay them back, and then I didn't. Hopefully my mom never listens to this.
Imagine what that interest looks like over X.
Thanks, Mom. They don't know. Anyway.
So the least you've spent for a wheel?
Least I've spent, I guess... not, like, I think maybe $300.
Okay. Is that because you packaged it? Like you bought 3 or 4 at a time?
No.
Or?
They just...
Have you ever done that?
No, I haven't. Well, I did buy a few of them from Seattle Pottery Works, but they were all from schools. Those were the RK2s, and they were like $350. So,
Oh, okay. Yeah, my cheapest one was the Aspire. I spent $300 for that with a kick with a pedal.
Yeah, I think I spent 350 or 400 for my Aspire. Um,
Yeah, I mean that Aspire was basically brand
and I
new.
mean, my Aspire is sitting next to me. I use it weekly. Like, I use it all the time now. And
Right.
will continue to
I
use it.
think. Plus, you feel you say 350, but I think I talked him down. I think it was listed at 400,
Oh,
500,
nice.
and I got it for 300. So I felt good about. Plus, I had the
Yeah,
pedal
you
with
have the
it. That
pedal.
makes it even
That's way
better.
better. I wish mine had the pedal.
Do you have a
No,
pedal with
I have
yours?
the handle. And mine, like,
Oh,
some rich lady bought it thinking she was going to do pottery, and then she used it 3 times and then sold it. So,
that's where you can clean up on some
yeah,
supplies.
that is where you can clean house. It's, like, easy. Um,
Plus, there's like get rid of it
yeah.
prices where you could lowball the shit out of it and you feel guilty about it, but they might be happy with whatever they can get for it
You
if
know
you're
what?
willing to come get
Here's
it.
the thing. If I, like, lowball somebody and pay, like, very little, sometimes I think about it this way. I usually, if I get rid of that, I usually give it away to somebody, you know? Like,
What do you mean?
like if I got a kiln for $100 that was, like, in really great shape and talk somebody down to it, I'd probably just give the kiln away.
As the seller?
Like, in a couple of years when I was done with it, I would give it away
Oh,
instead
okay.
of
I
selling
gotcha.
it, you know?
You bought it for 100. You
Yeah.
talked them down, and you're gonna
Yeah.
pass it on. Like you're not trying to
I'm
make
not,
money on
no,
it,
that's not some,
and you're not trying to make your money back on it
no, like, I've
necessarily.
used it enough. It's paid for itself, you know? Um,
What if it had new elements in it? Would you still pass it down?
I'd make them pay for the elements for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it could be, hey, I just put new elements in it, and then you stumble upon a deal that there's a controller kiln
Right.
for $600, and you're, you know,
Man.
we've also said before, you need to be on the lookout. If there's even an inkling that I'm like, I'm gonna look out for 3 to 4 months, because I'm not a quick pull the trigger
Yeah.
kind of guy. Becca might be a quick pull the trigger kind of gal, but I am not.
Right. I am a quick pull the trigger kind of gal. But I do it with nope, that, you know what, I'm just going to say that. I'm a quick pull the trigger kind of gal.
Yeah. Like, I'm not going to be looking for a kiln last week and then buy a kiln this week unless it's, like, right where I
Right.
want it. But the likelihood of that happening, I'll be on the lookout for a couple
Right,
months
right.
or whatnot. And maybe I just don't want to deal with the whole back and forth with these people and having to go drive
Yeah.
somewhere on a random day of the week that I stumble upon. That also,
Yeah, I also think it's really important to, if you are willing to spend a little bit more money, you don't necessarily want a brand new kiln, call your local supplier. Like, they're selling their kilns for a reasonable price because they know what price to sell them for. So, they're not going to overprice them, is what I'm saying. But
you're talking about Queen
yeah,
City
like
Clay.
Queen City Clay or Brent, you know, like Brick House or Seattle Pottery Supply or something like that, you know, like they usually have used kilns. Like, and
You mean from their studio, not like a floor model version that they bought from Scut and they have it on display for $2,800
no,
or
sometimes
something?
they buy kilns from schools and other places like that and then resell them. And, like, I know Seattle Pottery Supply fixes kilns, so, like, they sell a bunch of kilns, so I'm sure that not every place is like this. But also...
There could be some places that have just a graveyard of kilns that they've had in their building because they've been in the building for 30 years and they have no way to get rid of these things. So hey, do you have any access to some old kilns? I'm in the market for one. And they're like, you know what? We have an old kiln in the studio somewhere. If you want to come look at it and you could buy it off us. Or you can have it.
You know, you never know. Also, I was going to say, if you are in the market for a new kiln, I would recommend first calling up a supplier and asking if they have any factory seconds. I know that's
supplier
Scott,
being
Olympic,
calling Olympic, calling
Brent,
Scott.
yeah, and asking if they have any factory seconds, because it is. That's how I got my oval kiln. A forklift hit it in the factory, and so it had like 2 marks on it, and I got it for like $1,500 off. So,
and they freight ship it to you, kind of thing. Yeah, because who are they going to sell it to? They don't sell to anybody directly off their, or if they do sell it off their website, they probably sell the retail, right? They're not going to take the time to list a factory second and what's wrong with it. They get it. They're not happy with what's wrong with it.
Like Peter Pugger has factory seconds on their website that they list, and like stuff that they've bought that they sell used, which I thought was really cool. But yeah, definitely take the chance and call the supplier.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt. They could have bumped it with a forklift yesterday.
They're probably all going to fucking hate me because now all these people are going to start calling the suppliers and asking them for factory seconds. Maybe spread it out, guys.
Well, not everybody's going to be in the need for this kind of equipment all at once.
Spread out the suppliers, Some people call Olympic, some people call Scott, some people call L&L. You know what kilns I almost never see used is the one that you got used, an L&L kiln. I almost never see L&Ls used. I also don't ever see cone arts used either. Really, it's Scott, Paragon, Duncan, Cress.
Right. And also, if you one other place to look that is not Facebook Marketplace, if you're in, I would say Craigslist is also an option, but that's like the public sphere of selling things. If you're in a local community that has a local clay guild or something like that, if you can reach out to them and say, hey, I'm looking for, or if there's we have a Facebook group for Clay Alliance, and that's actually where I got my L&L, so I'm glad you mentioned that. There was somebody that's in the Clay Alliance, or they're local to Cincinnati, and they posted it to that group, and they were saying, hey, I've got this kiln for sale. Is anyone interested? So they go to the small group first. People that are local, that are already in that sphere, they're potters. They probably cross-pollinate, and they know each other. And they're willing to sell it to somebody that they know first. Give them first priority because they know they're going to appreciate it or whatnot. They know what they're looking for. And then from there, they might, if it doesn't sell, go to a wider audience. So if you can get into those Facebook groups or pottery spheres of people that you can communicate with to say, hey, I'm looking for this. Do you know anybody?
Also auctions, like, those auction houses. Like Gov deals and school auction, because schools are part of the government, so they sell a lot of kilns off of those. So keep that in mind too. You can't test it, but sometimes you can get it cheap enough that it doesn't matter.
Yeah, they have like an auction system, kind of like eBay. So keep that in mind. You might want to wait until it gets down to the wire and then bid on it, so you get the lowest price.
For sure.
But you've also got very narrow windows when you have to go pick that stuff up too. So,
I feel like
consider that. Would you? The one thing about the wheels, we kind of look. Would you be reluctant to get some of those off-brand wheels? I feel like I would not want to buy one of them.
I think you can get it almost cheaper.
But I've already owned like good quality wheels.
You can get them almost cheaper on Amazon, but I would totally get one of the Amazon wheels if I was in a pinch. Yeah. I think they'll work fine. I do. Yeah. I think they'd work fine. I mean, like, they're small enough to carry around, too. If you're just doing small cups and mugs, like, who the fuck cares? Yeah.
I almost need to, like, test one.
Aletha has one. Yeah, you should ask her about it. Like, I've seen it. It looks like one of those.
Is it? Okay. I feel like I'm kind of judging a book by its cover because it's not a brand name.
I saw a potter that got one, and she did a little review on it, and it seemed like it was like could be worse, could
be worse. A wheel that I'm wondering about is those Quark wheels.
I was
Remember we
just
were looking
thinking
at those
about that.
together?
Yeah.
The battery
Yeah.
powered ones, but also they plug in, but
Yeah.
also they can
And they have a
recharge or
Bluetooth
whatnot.
pedal and like.
I don't trust Bluetooth enough to use the
I know.
Bluetooth pedal. I'm like, but what the fuck do I need a Bluetooth pedal for? Am I? Hey, over there on the other side of the room, can you turn my
Yeah.
wheel up?
I think it's just because the pedal cords are always really annoying. But yeah, I was thinking about those. Um, also, oh god, what was I gonna say? Oh, also, I almost, yeah, I mean, I almost feel like it's either like it's so hard to find used wheels, and they go so quickly if you do find one. Um, it's almost just easier to save up $900 and get a Shimpo Whisper, like, or like the Shimpo Light, you know?
Yeah. I wonder if they're.
Oh,
I feel like that's where the school thing helps because schools are normally, if they're getting rid of their equipment, usually they do have. Schools are going to have at least 6 to 8 wheels probably. So if you can get in on that and get in, even if it's like a 20-year-old
yeah.
Brent,
Oh, yeah,
like that's a good. That's gonna
for
last.
sure. Also, oh,
Or those
I forgot something that
RK2s
was
and
very
stuff.
important to say. Also, conferences. Definitely take advantage of conferences. So, like ClayCon West, all of the wheels that they use are for sale at a discounted price. The um,
They've literally been used just for the
just for the
demos, and that's
demos,
it.
and that's it. And like the fucking the banding wheels, the slab roller, like everything, and in Sika, those motherfuckers don't want to take that shit home.
Yeah, they pay however much money to fill pallets up to get it back across the country. They don't want to put all their equipment
They
back on
are on a
a pallet.
mission to sell whatever they've taken to Nsika. So keep that in mind. Like, and if you are gunning for a wheel, get there early. Get to the space and say, "Hey, I'd like to buy one of these floor models." Um, and they,
You're getting that shit brand new, and it's gonna be, I don't know, 80% of what it costs
yeah.
retail,
Well,
maybe
I don't think that, but
85% of what retail is.
yeah, I mean, your discount is 20%. Yes, 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 yes. Um, yeah. um,
Okay, sorry, my math numbers were
yeah.
throwing you off there. I should have said it's 15 to 20%
Sorry, no,
off.
I just like didn't think about it. But yeah, like uh all of the kilns they want to get rid of, all of everything. And yeah, so like get there early, gun for the whichever booth you want and get on it then.
I think we're so close. Like, I wonder what I'm gonna get. Shit.
Ryan could get a brand new kiln. Ooh,
Ooh, maybe I should. Maybe I
shit.
should.
I mean it'd probably be a great deal.
I mean, it would be a great deal. I was thinking, I'm gonna get a half shelf advancer and a full shelf advancer before the end of the year.
Why not get them at Nsika?
Because I want to expense it before the end of the year. I care about that stuff, Becca.
Whatever. You bought a
And
car.
then maybe the kiln's in the back of my brain. Well, the car doesn't come directly out of that money.
I mean, but you expensed it because you paid in cash. That's an expense.
No, the car's a personal purchase.
Oh.
Because it's insured personally, so.
Oh, okay. Anyway,
Yeah, I might scope out the kiln. What kind of kiln would you get off the floor? Should I get a Scud? L&L?
I get Conar or an L&L. I also want to say that this really depends on which side of the country you are on. So, like,
Oh, right. You're talking about what type of kiln, like how much it's going to cost to service it and where your supplies are coming from?
So, like, if I am going to buy a kiln on the West Coast, I'm buying a Scud. If I'm going to buy a kiln on the East Coast, I'm buying Olympic L&L or Conart?
I think L&L actually ships materials from the Pacific Northwest.
Where are they located, though?
I don't know
they're
where
in
it's
South
made,
Carolina. But Conart is in Canada, so if you're Canadian, Conart's a great option for Canadians. Brent is in, obviously, this area. I don't know if I would buy a Brent kiln.
Oh, it says L&L is in New
New
Jersey.
Jersey. So
So
definitely East Coast for L&L. It's just like this whole thing, like when you have to call their customer service and like getting things shipped, and it's just like easier. I
think Olympic was the one you're thinking about. That's in South Carolina,
Olympics
Georgia.
in Georgia, I think.
Olympics in Georgia.
And I mean, to me, like a kiln's a kiln. You know, they're all made the same. They're all made with hands, and they all pretty much have the same controllers. There's differences in the bricks for the L&Ls. There's differences in the controller for the Scut. They've got really nice lines, and like their controller panel is patented, so it's like easy to change everything. Olympics are just bare bones kilns, and so are Conarts. Conarts have a little bit more oofta. They're a little bolder.
Should I get a size similar to what I already got? If I get another L&L, would you get the exact same size?
You have a 7 now?
I have a 10.
You have a 10 cubic foot?
The tall one's a 10 cubic foot. And then the Olympic is technically a 7 cubic foot.
Do you feel like you're filling them up a lot now? How often do you fire?
I usually bisque in the small one, actually. I think I'm firing about. I just looked at my book. I think the Olympic. This is my 25th glaze firing in there. For the year. I mean, probably 50 glaze firings between both kilns. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's November, but yeah, I would say 50 is a good number. I mean, I'm like a piling pots up, so filling a bisque is not too bad, and I can not fill it up as much. I don't know that I would go down.
No. Don't go down in size. I'm just wondering if
I'm not going to go bigger
210s
either,
would
but
make sense for you or not, you know?
Yeah. I mean, maybe L&L has a 7.
Oh, they have a 7, yeah. But, I mean, like, do you want another 7 if you're not going to bisque in it? Like, your newest kiln you're going to want to glaze in.
Mm-hmm. I mean, what am I getting the kiln for? I'm getting it so that they're basically the exact same parts and everything. And that...
I mean, do you need the kiln?
I can... Not really. Just upgrade the quality if it's going to fire more evenly.
Do you feel like it fires unevenly?
They're not too bad. I mean, we've talked about this.
Oh, it does fire unevenly. Yes. I remember now.
The Olympic is less even.
Then, yeah, I mean, like... Get a 10. I would just... Do you have enough power for
maybe 23 medium?
Huh?
They're on this... They're technically on the same... They're two separate plugs, but they go in the same wiring, so I never fire them at the same time.
So you couldn't get a 10? Are you sure that's a 10?
I just don't fire them at the same time.
Are you sure?
Yeah. 23T.
You sure? It's a 7. And a 5.
It's a 7, and then I think my Olympic is a 5.
Okay.
I have a 5 and a 7.
Okay, so
sorry.
I don't think you could get a 10 because a 10's going to be 60 amps.
I'd have to rewire it. I don't want to do that.
I would get another 7, and yes, I think you should get 2 7s. For me, I feel like a 7 is too small for me.
Not with what you're currently doing.
No, with what I'm currently doing. I feel like a 7 is too small. I like to do large loads.
Really? 10 cubic foot.
Like, for me, it's like, how many pots can I get done in a week? You know? That's what I'm looking at. So I would prefer a 10 because I could bisque that many more pots and glaze that many more pots.
Mm-hmm.
It's not how many I can make in a week. It's how many I can fire in a week, you know?
Yeah. I mean, they got some different ones. It's, you go from like a 23 inch, which goes from like a 4.5 cubic foot to 7 cubic foot. And then you got the 28 inch, which is wider, and it starts at 7 cubic feet.
Okay.
And goes up to 10.
I would not get a 28 inch. I mean, I don't know.
It's not going to fit in the space that well, but I kind of like the idea of a wider but shorter one.
Yeah.
But then I'm not using the same shelves.
Yeah, that is big. Using the same shelves for everything is really nice.
And then I can figure out how to load it appropriately and all that stuff.
We should probably leave. It's been like 2 hours and it's like 12:30.
Yeah, we should. All right. Any last words?
If you have any questions, send them my way. I'm more than happy to help you.
Yes. You've been sharing a few stories of these.
So many people have been asking me, and it's just like, I'm so glad you asked me because you could have made a really bad decision. Or like, you could have accepted that price.
I mean, maybe they have the money to make those decisions and you learn from it, but
nobody has the money.
Once you start
doing pottery full time,
you won't really know what your full investment is until you get the kiln, you get it wired, you get the elements, you get the shelving, you get the vent if you need it. Like, there's so many factors that go into this that's going to add up. I mean, you're going to spend $2,000 on all that other stuff that I talked about.
I forgot one last thing. When you go, and if you can plug it in to test it, plug it in, close the lid, turn it on high, open it up, talk to them for 10 minutes, open it up in 10 minutes, look and see at all the elements and see if they're glowing. Tops and bottoms should be a little bit hotter than the middles.
Okay. But if they're glowing, that means the elements have a current going through them. They're working. If they're not glowing, the element is shot and will need
You could do a
replacing.
paper test. You can look that up on Google if you want. But that's a good way to do it, too.
And if one of those elements is out, you're saying they are going to need to replace all of them to reset the whole thing.
It might be nice. As
we've talked about.
Sure. Unless they have records of when they replaced them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's it.
All right. Thanks, everybody. We'll catch you next time. Bye.
Yo, higgity, yo. It's Becca here. Hey, just so you know, thank you for listening. And also, we have... What do we have again? A Patreon. We have a Patreon that you should go, and if you want to donate to, you could donate to it. If you don't, that's cool too. But just Google Wheel Talk Podcast Patreon. Don't do the other one, because there is a Wheel Talk on Patreon, but it's not us. So make sure you get the right one. It's in the show notes. And also, leave us a review because they're fun to read. Okay, bye!